You know, in jerkbait fishing, rhythm, cadence, pause is probably the most important thing once you figure out the right bait to be throwing and the right color. But probably the biggest thing that I ever learned about jerkbait fishing is you absolutely have to have that pause. Sometimes it's very, very slight, and sometimes maybe 8-10 seconds. I can't hardly do that, to be honest with you. With the Shadow Rap Shad, the pause is very important because unlike any other jerkbait I've seen, when this bait pauses, it absolutely has that side-to-side wobble. And it needs slack line, it needs that pause. A lot of people that I fish with that haven't fished jerkbaits very much will almost pause a bait, but they keep their line tight and they're still pulling a bait just a little bit, and that's not a pause, and they will not catch as many fish as someone who pauses the bait.
You know, fishing a jerkbait like the Rapala Shadow Rap Shad, the cadence is so important. That twitching rhythm, that cadence, that motion of your rod, and finding the right cadence for that day is so important because that's what makes the fish react. Typically, the colder it is, the slower my cadence, the warmer it is, the faster my cadence. But let me go through a cast and show you my typical cast with the brand new Rapala Shadow Rap Shad. You know, I like to make a long cast out there, and when that bait first hits the water, I'll get it going. I'll crank it about 5 or 10 times to get it going, and then I'm going to throw a series of twitches and pauses into the bait. And I like to maybe start with a 3 count, 3 twitches, followed by 3-second pause, 3 twitches, a 3-second pause, and I'm going to continue that. About every 10 casts with this bait, I'm going to change that cadence up a little bit. I'll go to 5 twitches, 5-second pause, 1 twitch, 10-second pause, and I keep changing it until I find the mode of the fish.
You know, the cadence is extremely important, varying your cadence, but you know, most of the bites occur when the bait is paused. And one thing I'm thinking about when I'm determining the cadence of the bait is what point do I pause the bait? And most of the time, even though a jerkbait fish is a lot of times suspended fish, they're still suspended around an object like an isolated rock or the end of a dock or a brush pile. So you have to visualize that bait. You have to visualize what that bait is doing, and you want to make sure that you time that pause properly. So if you can pause that Shadow Rap Shad over a brush pile or right on the corner of a dock, that's the point you want to let that bait pause. You want to let the bait do the work for you. You want it to have that shimmy and death quiver, and that's when that big fish is going to eat it. The Shadow Rap Shad, if you put it in front of a big one, something good is fixing to happen.